Tashidilek. My name is Jigme, and I'm here speaking on behalf of the Tibetan National Congress regarding the recent comments made by Phunchok Stopdan. I will call him Phunchok La because I was raised that way. He appeared in a debate on Aaj an Indian television news channel, where he declared that His Holiness the Dalai Lama is in collusion with the Chinese government and silently encouraging the Chinese intrusion into Ladakh. After tremendous pressure from the community, the religious sect, the district of Leh in Ladakh completely shut down in protest. He released videos and a statement of apology. Now, it was definitely a step towards the right direction, but like many in the community, I am unable to accept and understand his half-assed apology that lacks clarity and sincerity. But before I talk about his apology or his comments, I have to share this. So it's been years since I've paid for cable television because I avoid mainstream corporate news. Those sensationalized frenzy debates, horrible music, people shouting at each other, and biased reporters desperate for TRP ratings. It's pretty unbearable. And talking about unbearable, Phunchok Stopdan is the perfect example of a television debate guest who can be overly dramatic, using slandering, baseless, and cheap language with absolutely no accountability. So I decided to make this video not only to call out his jingoistic and manufactured attacks against His Holiness, but also to challenge a number of confusing and frankly inaccurate and false claims on the Sino-Indian conflict in the Aksai Chin area. I will talk about both, but let's watch his debate clip first.
रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं क्योंकि हम ऑफेंसिव हो गए, हमारे काफी प्रिपरेशन चल रहा है, रोड बन रहा है, कंस्ट्रक्शन बढ़ रहा है, डिप्लॉयमेंट हो रहा है और चाइना को ये पछता नहीं है। तो ये फॉरवर्ड पॉलिसी है, हमें इस पर डट के रहना पड़ेगा, लड़ाई लड़ना है तो लड़ना पड़ेगा, इसके लिए जान देना पड़ेगा, देंगे, मरने के तो मरने के लिए भी तैयार है, हमारे लोग तो तैयार है। आपको लगता लेकिन वो चाइनीज आ क्यों रहे हैं वहां पे? किसने उनको बोला कि ये चाइनीज लैंड है? चाइनीज तो बहुत दूर है, होगा तो तिब्बती का है। वो तिब्बती क्यों एक्सप्लेनेशन क्यों नहीं दे रहा है? वो दलाई लामा धर्मशाला में बैठा है, उसको बोलो कि ये तिब्बत का जमीन नहीं है, भारत का है, वो तो चुपके से बैठा हुआ है। तो ये हमारा भी कोई गलतियां है कि ये भाई जी चीन आ गया और दलाई लामा बोले चीन को खाने दे, चुपचाप से बैठे अपना मंत्रा करते पूजा करते रहे, ऐसा तो होगा नहीं। हमने तो उसको गवर्नमेंट बना के दिया धर्मशाला में, क्लेरिफिकेशन दे दो, ये तिब्बत का जमीन नहीं है, ये भारत का है, क्यों आ रहा है? या वो दोनों मिले पिगल है, क्या है ये? तो स्ट्रेटेजी हमें समझ में नहीं रहता, कंफ्यूजिंग है। ये लद्दाख का लैंड है, ना तिब्बती है ना चाइनीज है।
For a man who has been an Indian ambassador to Kazakhstan, don't you think he sounds rather crude, rude, and like those overly anxious uncle eager to add shocking news and shock values? This is a classic diplomatic comedy, except it's offensive with no diplomacy. Phunchok was blabbering, ranting, useless sound bites, and fear-mongering, calling for a war and killing while implying and blaming His Holiness the Dalai Lama, the global ambassador of peace, compassion, and non-violence. That is probably the most outrageous analogy I've ever heard. This man's tone and message is rigged with ugly shades of nationalism and puny patriotism. I'm sure he was hoping Modi ji was probably watching him. Anyways, before I get further triggered, let me pause and talk about his apology statement and video. I will not share the video, but the link somewhere. Let's be clear. His apology was a favor for no one but himself. And I'm pretty sure Quindin has absolutely no idea who he is, but will still forgive him and even grant him some extra karma. Phunchok apology lacks sincerity. It is arrogantly delivered without any effort or remorse. He keeps playing the victim card, the victim game. He says he has a photo of His Holiness and has attended Kala Chakra. That is very similar to people here who say, I'm not racist towards black people because I have black friends and I listen to Jay-Z. An apology cannot be an excuse. An apology is to recognize your errors. It's an opportunity to clarify and correct what was said or did wrong. He actually says such statements are okay here and there, and that he is internationally known in strategic affairs and is an expert on geopolitics, so he has every right to speak. That is some major bragging and self-glorification. We have a saying in Tibetan, "Kyak pe kup kya?" But that video is still out there. People are watching it and don't realize it's fake news. If Phunchok really wanted to apologize, he should have apologized for intentionally attacking the Dalai Lama, and not because he thinks he hurt the feelings and sentiment of the followers. He should have apologized for distorting and fabricating history and making false claims. He should have apologized to the good people of Ladakh when he carelessly put their reputation in danger of being distrusted. But the reality is he did not apologize. He did not mean it. What Phunchok said on Archduke was not an accident or a comment that's here and there. He knew exactly what he was saying. In his new book, I think it's called The Great Game of the Himalayas, India and China's Strategic Dominance. In that book, we'll figure out the title, but he makes ridiculous conspiracy theories and speculations, like the institution of the Dalai Lama unifying with China. He writes that the presence of the Dalai Lama and the Tibetan community in India is a disruptive factor in India-China relationship. This man has a grudge, a serious problem, misinformed about the Tibetan community and especially His Holiness. This book is a fictional nonsense. And trust me, we will thoroughly review and shred his book to pieces with real historic facts and truth. So anyone watching this, please hold back from buying a copy and tell your friends and family. This man's understanding of Tibetan history is nil, none, zero. And since his pathetic apology fails to clarify why he was apologizing, let's examine his comments. He claims that Eastern Ladakh belongs to Tibet, but he wants the Dalai Lama to convince China that it belongs to India. And if China intrudes the LAC, the line of actual control, the Dalai Lama will encourage it because he is in collusion with China. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, a refugee, who's been living in exile for over 61 years because China illegally occupied his country, continues to destroy it, massacred over 1 million of his people, and rules with a draconian policy. This man is accusing His Holiness of being in collusion with that government. The whole world knows His Holiness has devolved from politics. We now have a very active Sikyong. Phunchok knows that. But he's purposely discrediting CTA and his word about them allowing us to form a government in Dharamsala, he is risking and jeopardizing our existing relationship with the Indian government. That's clear. Now, Phunchok's statement that the conflict area in question is far away from China and that it's in fact a Tibetan region, that is true. But the entire statement he made contradicts itself, just like he contradicts himself all the time. When Aksai Chin was part of independent Tibet, Ladakh and India were never threatened in any way. There were absolutely no troops on this frontier for many hundreds of years. But does he know that? After Tibet was invaded by China in 1950, the government of India did nothing to support the Tibetans fighting for their homeland. Instead, India, along with the British government, successfully sabotaged the attempt made by the Tibetan government to seek United Nations to condemn China's invasion of Tibet and seek any UN intervention in that matter. India, in an effort to gain China's friendship, signed the Panchsheel Agreement in 1955 that then recognized Tibet as a part of China. India even surrendered their existing treaties, rights, and privileges with Tibet to China. And in return, India did not receive a token acknowledgement, not even a token acknowledgement of its legitimate rights or to its frontier territories like Ladakh, Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, which China aggressively disputes, as it is still doing in Aksai Chin. I would advise Phunchok, the international geopolitical expert, to study the history of this period, to better understand Tibetan history, the real history, and to study the issue of Sino-Indian relationship beyond those hopeful slogans and sentiments of Chini Hindi Bye-Bye. Chini Hindi Bye-Bye has done a tremendous disservice to the Indian nation and its people. Phunchok also said His Holiness is focused on his mantras and prayers. Very true. His Holiness is praying for peace and wisdom for people like him who are wasting oxygen and slowly tilting the earth with their overburdened egos. No matter our history, we remain dependable and thankful for the last 60 years to the government of India for giving His Holiness and us refuge and a home away from home. I sincerely hope we can count on your government, elected leaders, and your political gurus on media to call this man out. His agenda is dark. His worldviews are foolish and dangerous. Please watch him and continue to hold him accountable for all his ludicrous and bald-faced lies. Thank you. Tashidilek and Jai Hind.